Hello, welcome. Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 348 of the podcast. This is actually happening. What if you survived the Burundian genocide? A brief. Gilbert is raised in community and joy with serious physical struggles, including a hefty daily trek to water and to school. He prides himself on his hard work and energy. He goes away to boarding school, and in his senior year, a Hutu president is assassinated, and this sparks an intended ethnic cleansing of all Tutsi people. Gilbert, being Tutsi and not well liked by his headmaster, becomes a target for beating, chopping, and fire. Although he is gravely injured, he is able to escape and hide long enough until the military arrives to rescue the students. Gilbert is the only survivor. He eventually is able to heal, resume running, and wins a place on the Olympic team and graduates from an American university. He now advocates for clean water in Burundi and beyond. And full disclosure, I'm the showrunner for This Is Actually Happening, and T doesn't work on the show, but she's still awesome, and she comes in fresh. This show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners. It's a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. What stuck out to you as the heart of Gilbert's story?
I went with one word today, and it's not an English word.
French?
No.
Danish?
Yes.
For real?
No.
Oh.
I went with Tumagu.
Energy, dust. Or dust.
Yes.
Dust.
Yes. His nickname
Mm-hmm.
that his grandmother gave him, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was fitting.
I love that story.
It's such a great story. And I thought it was a good metaphor as the heart of this one. Dust can symbolize movement, right? Moving forward. And for Gilbert, really, he does a lot of moving forward, looking ahead, right? He's really not burdened by his past. He really doesn't look for vengeance at all, right? What happens on the bus? He just moves forward. He forgives. I mean, we all know what I think about forgiveness, but he doesn't even think about it. He just keeps on going forward, leaving that in the dust, right? Dust as in...
F for forward, F for forgiveness.
That's right.
Coincidence? I think not.
That's true. Gilbert is nearly consumed by fire, but he rises from the ashes, as dust does, right? And then when we think about dust and water, they're kind of like opposites, right? A little bit, maybe. But they're also linked. Dust comes from hard work or suffering, and water brings life and energy, right? And it kind of mirrors his own experience. His suffering brought him his purpose to help bring water and hope to people, right? And then I'm thinking dust is also kind of his legacy and the impact he brings.
What was the word again?
Tumagu.
Tumagu.
Dust.
Yeah, that's good. Good, T. It's good. I thought the heart of the story was around the why. That's what Gilbert kept saying. Why?
Mm-hmm.
None of this makes sense. This shouldn't have happened to him. And I think the story is about how powers that be can cause us to find enemies with each other and miss who the real enemy is. As he said, this is intentionally stirred up by colonizers over and over and over again, whipped up in Africa to be in a situation where you think you know someone, you think that you are friends with someone, you love someone, that you live with someone, these are his fellow students and neighbor. They live together. They only have each other. They're bonded in brotherhood. They're away from their families as a boarding school. To have these boys turn on him for no reason other than being Tutsi. I mean, if you research the difference between these two tribes of people, the differences are very small. You could hear the sadness in his voice where even beckoning back, telling the story of when he's being attacked. And he just kept saying, why? 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 I'm not Jesus. I didn't betray anyone. I haven't done anything. You're my friend. Why? Which is a tale as old as time, really. Thinking about how powers that be are able to get brother to fight brother, or man to fight son, or human to fight human. Wars, policing, and beating down people has always been a coercive tool of the rich that used to, kind of whip and keep the working class people under control, under the boot. Keep us interested in one-upping each other instead of turning and looking down at the scum that we should be mad at and going after. Yeah, man. Why? Powerful fucking episode. And I would encourage y'all to listen to it more than once. I think sometimes our ears can get lost in just hearing like a different dialect, and we miss certain details that come across. I don't know if this happened for you, but I would say it really came alive to me by like the third listen, where I was like catching everything. He went through it, and it's incredible how many times he was supposed to die. And it's incredible how many times he survived. And then to make it as far as he has, and the work that he's taken on in his lifetime is just incredible. He's an inspiring person. He's talking about the way he grew up, and it's fascinating because we're close to his age. He's a little bit older than us, but we grew up in the same world on the other side of the world as he did, and we still have completely different lives as far as you think about how technology works in our lives, right? Or you might call it progress. But he's got this tight community. They live near relatives. That's a way to keep people safe and protected and ensure that everyone's taken care of. They share cows with, like, sounds like a co-op situation with neighbors.
Yeah.
Everyone gets together, take care of the cows. They have to grow their own food. They have to harvest their own food. They can't get it from the grocery store.
But he doesn't say it like that, right?
This is
They ought to do that or not going to Trader Joe's.
I'm putting it through my American
That-
filter.
Wow,
right?
you're making it sound a little complainy.
It's fuck. You would never make it.
They have
I would
to.
never make it. They have to walk to water. I
6 miles.
There's no electricity. There's no
Yeah.
internet. I just think about our daily routine, or even his daily routine. Walking to the water, walking to school, 2 miles uphill.
Yeah, the 2 miles uphill. I was like,
Fucking forgot about it. If it rained,
both ways. 2 miles uphill both ways. I was like, is he lying? Because I've heard this story before.
and if it rains, he's wet all day.
No, if he runs, right? You can't even run it.
Yeah, you're still gonna get soaking
Oh,
wet.
you're gonna get taken.
You can run full speed. It's still 6 miles. 6 miles.
Gosh.
It's hard, but it's rewarding because there's joy and connection, and your hands are dirty. There's something to be said about community here. Is what we see as progress or modern life, is it really that good?
Like, it's all disconnection with us.
We're
We're not working together. We don't know where our food is coming from. We don't talk to each other. None of that. They're all together. They're sharing cows. They're sharing food. They share their meals. Everything together, right? They know where the food comes from.
which sounds like a nightmare, truth be told. But yes,
I
yes.
know. And it's just,
Some people like other people.
I mean, if our lives started like how our lives started, and then we had to do all this, we'd be like, what the hell is that?
Right.
If,
I mean, now we're all like phone heads, and we're all lazy, and we're all just looking for dopamine hits. Like, how many times have you sat in a room with your wife and you're both just looking at your fucking phones? I lost it on Scott last night. And, I'm guilty of it too, but, like, literally, he woke up and just went to his phone he went from phone to shower, and I finally just lost it, and I was like, "Are we gonna have a conversation?"
Are you gonna even look at me?
And not a cat video, but I'm still interesting looking.
You even have cats. Are you gonna look at the cats before the cat video? We just got cats. I got the cats so you wouldn't look at cat videos.
We have no attention spans, we're weak, we're mad, and we don't know why, and then there's a thing that comes out on TikTok called trad wives, and I guess we understand where these people are coming from because they hate all this shit too, so they're trying to go back to the Gilbert life of the world of sharing cows and growing crops, getting water. You know what a trad wife is?
I don't. I was gonna ask for that.
It's this phenomenon of, like, hot blonde 20-somethings that get married young and wanna have kids, but they just wanna be, like, homesteaders, so, like, they just so, like, a trad wife is short for a traditional wife, so she's a
Okay.
stay-at-home mom, she's making her own butter, she's,
Gotcha.
I don't know what they do really, but it's supposed to be this idea of, like, going back to your roots but they kinda do it weird, like, it's more like Christo-fascist, like, this idea that, like, man's the head of the house and all that garbage, It's all wrapped up in there, but it's still this idea of, like, we don't wanna be phone heads, we don't wanna be lazy, we don't wanna be weak, we wanna understand where our food and our land and all that stuff comes from. Progress can be a good thing and it can be a terrible thing. It's just all in how you use it, really.
It's crazy that you say progress. I mean,
Well,
is it? Is it?
modern science, modern uses, technology, people would say that that is progress. That's why I said, is it good or bad? So, what do you think, T? Is it progress? Is being a weak, fat phone head a progress?
When you say it like that, I'm gonna say I think there's a right answer.
I can see being a trad wife, little bonnet, some booties, butter churner.
Churning butter.
I don't know why there's so much churning butter in these.
There's a lot of churning butter. I mean, people like butter and, you know,
Mhm.
you gotta churn that butter. It's a win-win, isn't it? You need to be working out if you could have that much butter.
So you better make it.
Yeah.
You better churn your own.
It's like an endless cycle, really.
Which on the face of it makes sense why people didn't get fat when they were eating all this butter
Yeah.
because they had to churn the butter.
Yeah.
It's a whole body workout.
Yeah. Core and arm.
And now we just buy it, slap it, fry it, slurp it,
Yeah.
all while sitting. Fuck, you don't even have to walk to the store, just Instacart that
Oh my
shit.
God. Progress, schmogress. What are you talking about?
So Burundi at the time was Hutu, Tutsi, and Pygmy were the groups that made up the population. As Gilbert puts it, it's the point of colonialism to make us aware of these ways that we're different. The colonialists are the ones that used it. But the people, like boots on the ground, like Gilbert living his life, he didn't see the groups, but he recognizes now, or he can see clearly now that and studies of colonialism recognize this. This is a tactic used to break the populace up. But the neighbors lived, amongst each other with no Hutu or Tutsi. It didn't make a difference. We are all the same.
Or we're different for different reasons.
And who gives a
other
fuck?
than what they're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I like that he said, Who's brave, who's strong, who's fastest, who's funny." Like,
Yeah.
it's about that, not about what they're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, he sounds like a fantastic kid. He's fast and energetic and a helper. He's always dependable, hard worker.
I mean, that's why we started to interrupt you. That's why we bonded, right? We weren't supposed to be friends
Right.
because you're a white, Midwestern, conservative Christian, right?
I'm from those people, yes.
And I'm
Whatever you are.
all the good things, right?
Brown,
Brown, lesbian,
immigration.
yeah, immigration,
Yeah.
all the things. But we bonded because we're both funny. We like to joke around, right?
Well, what really bonded us initially was our shared eye roll of the other two people that we were with.
The hugging for 10 minutes. And they didn't introduce us. So we were like, what are we going to do? There's only 4 of us in the room. And you're
In a very seductive embrace.
hug. Yeah. What are the 2 strangers going to do? Or staring at each other.
Yeah, and then I said, "You wanna have a drink and a smoke out back?"
And then we hung out for 20 minutes. They were still hugging. But, we were really not supposed to bond if it
No.
were about categories like that, right?
Totally, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Based on if you saw us on paper at that time, you would believe that we could never be friends, but we didn't choose friends based on those things that
Yeah.
mean nothing.
Right?
We chose them on who we are as people,
Yeah.
and that's what Gilbert was doing, and that's what it sounds like all of the people in the community were doing, but it only takes a handful of zealots to disrupt so many lives. National champion runner in 8th grade. He aspired to go to the NCAAs. Do you know what that means?
I didn't know.
He's
That's
saying the
like the
NCAA.
NCAA. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering.
NCAAs.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was his aspiration, was to run in the US, be part of the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
Okay.
And he was in boarding school 7 hours away. Now, October 21st, 1993. I don't wanna get too much into historical context because this isn't a historical podcast. If you do like history, though, I recommend Hardcore History. It's a really wonderful podcast. That's a little bit of background.
Research alert.
On October 21st, 1993, a coup was attempted in Burundi by a Tutsi-dominated army faction. The coup attempt resulted in the assassination of Hutu President Melchior Ndadaye and the deaths of their officials. So after several hours, Ndadaye was captured and taken to a military camp where he was murdered. So then these rebel groups went around and started killing Tutsis, and from what I've read, this Ndadaye basically told his followers, or this is what Gilbert said, he incited the violence, said, "If I get killed, it's because of Tutsis, like, murder them in, revenge for me." But I also want to say that there was another Burundi genocide in 1972 where the Hutus were on the receiving end of the cleansing. So there's been a civil war of sort of over time in the country. In April 1972, a rebellion broke out in Burundi led by Hutu army officers against the purge by the mainly Tutsi government of President Micombero. In response to the rebellion, the government, using youth militias, went on a killing spree that led to the death of some 200,000 Hutus over the period of 90 days. Easily named the genocide against Hutus, it was a turning point in the ethnic divisions that later plunged even the neighboring countries, such as Rwanda, into a cycle similar to what happened in Burundi. And you might have seen Hotel Rwanda, devastating film.
Yeah.
The problem arose from a group of Hutu members of the gendarmerie who took control, and gendarmerie is sort of a fancy way of saying like the police force, but it's of like a region instead of a town. This is from Atrocities Watch Africa. And this group went on to kill Tutsi and Hutus who refused to join their cause. Between 800 and 1,000 people were killed. It was at this point that President Micombero declared martial law and armed his Royal Tutsi army, who proceeded to regain control of the country, but in the process killing hundreds of Hutus. Again, in June 1993, the leading political party, with its Hutu candidate Melchior Ndadaye, won the elections and formed the first Hutu government in Burundi. Tensions ensued with gangs of Tutsi and Hutu attacking each other around the capital, culminating in killing of Ndadaye in October of the same year. Radical Hutus and loyalists killed about 25,000 Tutsi in reprisal. In 2002, an inquiry into this violence by the United Nations affirmed that this particular episode in Burundi's history was indeed a genocide against the Tutsi. Yeah, but
It's totally fucked.
remember, this is colonialists convincing these people that they're so different that they need to cleanse their nation of each other when there's very little differences in these tribes.
Why?
Yeah, exactly why. So when the president was assassinated, Gilbert said he notices the tension between people right away. And they go to the headmaster to say, what are we going to do to make sure everyone feels safe? And what does the headmaster say to Gilbert? You are going to see what Jesus saw on the cross.
Yeah, why would you say that?
Yeah, it's a total mindfuck to try to understand how people that had everything the same homeland, same language, same religion, same everything, could hate each other so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we understand it in America a little bit. Can I make this comparison? The powers that be have riled us all up to hate one half of the country, and the other half of the country hates us, when really effectively we're the same.
Yeah. I mean, again, right?
Yeah.
You're from Indiana,
Yeah.
very red state. I'm from California, very blue state.
It's got some red in it.
Okay, right. But,
The fact that a couple of morons at the top can create and exacerbate these divides among us it's criminal, and it feels like they're taking playbooks out of other countries' past playbooks to do it.
I have friends like in Rhode Island and Florida that I was friends on like social media that are
And they drive Cybertrucks? What are you trying to say?
no, they're hardcore Trumpers.
Well, it's a cult. I mean, my mother,
Right, no, totally.
But when we drill down into this one circumstance, of course, Gilbert is fair in his questioning of why. Just, I want to say something really quickly. Now, we don't know exactly who the perpetrators are, the rebel group that sort of taken these kids, but the prisoners, the ones that are being beaten and chopped and set on fire, are kids. They're kids. They're away from their homes. They're away from their families. They've done nothing wrong outside of just being from where they're from ethnically, and they're being marched to their death. It's like the saddest thing I can think of. And this is in 1993.
Yeah.
This is in 1943. This is 1993. He talks about the death march. Trigger warning, massive, you guys. This is like so bad. There are all these kids roped together, and they're crying. They're little boys. They're crying.
I mean, even as he's in it, he can't believe it's even happened.
No. But he says there's this quiet voice inside him telling him to stay calm and that he's going to make it through. And just to put it bluntly, these kids are offered a choice: either get hacked to pieces by a machete or machetes, or be burned alive. And until it's your turn, you're gonna have to watch a lot of other people go through it. I mean, I can't even begin to wrap my mind around it. And they're seeing like tourists being captured by these groups who are just being run naked and barefoot and pursued by these rebel groups. And Gilbert talks specifically. He watches this 300-pound guy get chopped to bits. And yeah, if I saw that too, I'd probably pick the building. I mean, at least you have a running chance, which he quite literally did. They're using eucalyptus to set the fire. Eucalyptus is highly flammable. And then whilst people are burning alive around him, he can hear people outside chanting in celebration that they're murdering Tutsis. Like, where is your brain?
Yeah, you have to be completely brainwashed at that point, thinking
Is that
people that are like just normal people that are exactly like you have to be completely thinking that these people are totally evil and worthless and deserve it. I mean, what are they thinking these people are doing?
it's like the most extreme version of like owning the libs. Do you think that we could get to this point in America?
When are you celebrating this kind of when you're seeing kids?
I mean, that's what Lord of the Flies was about.
Yeah, I mean, human nature just
People can become the most violent, inhumane versions of themselves if
when
they're
you
whipped up. It's perceivable. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we can understand it. It's not, and we don't want to believe that it's something we would ever be.
But it is, I mean, clearly it's possible and it's happened more than once.
It's happened many, many times
Yeah.
over history and the world. And it is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
There is a division, like, I've never seen in my lifetime. And it is physically starting to affect now people. There's the
Mhm.
deportations are happening. ICE is showing up everywhere. There are many people on different levels that are being fired or let go from their jobs. That's why, that you saw that accident, that plane
Mhm.
accident that happened, plane disaster that happened in DC. Apparently there was one air traffic controller running 2 towers, which shouldn't be the case, and it's because there's a hiring free. I don't know, I don't wanna say things, but let's just say, though, that politics, division, convincing people that there's an us and there's a them, and that the reason your shitty life is shitty is because of these people making it shitty, not the people way up above that you voted for, not them. The villainizing of one group, the inciting violence one group to another, January 6th, inciting violence one group to another. People get whipped up in their emotions, and they are capable of being fucking inhumane monsters. And it's not a thing that's over. It's happening right now amongst all of this
Let's
progress.
pardon them so that we know that's okay to do.
Well, they're just passionate patriots.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
This is not a political podcast. So let's move on. Gilbert talks about there's a moment where he's thinking about giving up, but then what does he talk about? Where he has to have a come to God moment where he asks for forgiveness
oh,
for the greatest sin,
oh, because of the ping pong
the ping
today?
pong.
Because he didn't go to church.
Hey, you know what, Gilbert? Respect.
I mean,
Respect.
priorities, I think.
Respect from trauma bonded. We
I
also
also, yeah,
would choose ping
I
pong over
definitely.
church. He must have kept someone else behind, made someone else sin as well. But he asked for forgiveness, and God's like, "Okay, cool." And
Thank God
yeah,
he did that because
I mean, it is sad to think that he thought that he was being punished because he was skipping church to play ping pong. I don't know if he actually really believed that, but he worked it out with God. People are burning around him.
there's so many
There's
things.
so many things going on.
Yeah.
And he has a will to survive and he won't give up. Oh, he talks about them beating people so they'd be paralyzed so they can't run away from the fire is just knowing death is coming for you from your friends and your neighbors. I can't even begin to understand. And then he finally escapes, and then but then it's like, who do you trust? Who can you run to? Who's gonna help you? He knows that he is in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah.
They want to catch him. So many people are after him, and he doesn't have a weapon. All he has is his will, a voice inside telling him to keep going and keep calm. He's gonna be okay. And those running legs of his
He's got a hole in his leg.
and his back. He gets captured again, but this woman like helps him. I mean,
Well,
it's like a miracle that he.
what was going on there?
It sounded like he got caught, and then the men. And this is when he said he tried to lie and say that he was a Hutu, but
Mhm.
there are different physical characteristics that they can judge them on. They decided that he's a Tutsi, and it sounds like they go to prepare some sort of murder for him and leave him with the woman, and she takes kindness on him, compassion.
But what did she say about
Yeah.
what was that? With joining the girls over there?
It sounds like they had rounded up a bunch of women that they were going to hard R. And I don't know if she was intentionally letting him go or she didn't know what was going on. I didn't really fully get that myself. But anyways, military comes, Gilbert reveals himself, and he's rescued, and he is the only survivor.
Amazing. I think you should have a movie about him.
Right?
Why isn't there already a movie about him?
There must be. We could write it.
We could.
His mom sees him. She says, he's the true son of God. He's got fourth degree burns on his back. Have you ever been heard of fourth degree burns?
No.
It's like down to the bone. And when he squatted to poop, it hurt. So he refused to eat. That makes me so sad. And of course, he couldn't sleep. Yes, he survived, but goddamn, what he's seen.
Oh my God.
The fire, the beatings, the machete,
Everything.
the rope,
It's
even
multi-sensory.
just being roped
His
together.
experience is every sense, right?
Yeah. The betrayal. There's an emotional impact to this. And then how could he tell kids' parents what he saw?
He's the only survivor. There's going to be questions
Of
from everyone.
course. But how could you tell someone's parents how their son died? And there's killing still happening while he's recovering, He talks about these Christians that would hide out at church with machetes, these fake people, these fake Christians. And he didn't say fuck church, but I felt that he did.
I hate the fake Christians.
Oh, the worst.
That's what I noticed. That was the first sign was when we were at church. Not, there wasn't machetes, but when we were at church and we would like be getting out of the parking lot, it was always crowded in the parking lot. But then people were just fucking assholes in the parking lot, like cutting people off or like, fuck you or whatever. Like, I was like, whoa, why are people outside? I thought we were like supposed to be nice or something. What is this? Gonna be like a 5-minute traffic jam? What's the deal? Are these people fake? Like faking it in there?
Was that the parking lot on Alameda?
Corpus Christi. The parking lot was where the basketball courts were.
Yeah, I remember. I've been in that parking lot.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you ever wait on them after church as a server?
What do you mean?
Well, they're horrible clients to a restaurant as well.
You mean just Filipinos in general?
No, Christians.
Oh. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Did you ever get left a track
Hungry bitch.
instead of a tip?
A track?
Like you know what a track is?
No.
Have you seen those ones that like it just looks like a folded up like $50 bill or $100 bill? And you're like, oh shit. And then you go to open it and it's like, do you know Jesus?
No. What trickery?
Isn't it terrible?
That's some Christians. This is the straight up Catholic. Right? I don't know what that is.
See.
That's messed up.
See, so it looks
Ew.
like a $20 bill, right? But then you flip it over.
Oh, yeah.
Can you believe this? Like they were gonna get people into the kingdom of heaven using this.
Why would they
And it said some things are better than money.
No. Not that. I mean,
Can you imagine?
some things are better than money, but not that. Not that.
Your salvation. Isn't it sick? It's disgusting. We're gonna go and abuse you for an hour, feed our fat asses, and then we're not even gonna pay you a tip. We're gonna give you Jesus. Like we're a great representation of him. It's such a joke.
Oh, and they don't even actually tip you?
No. Anywhoosie. And Gilbert's left with these thoughts of what could he have done different? Like, how could he avoided this entirely? There was nothing he could have done. He wasn't political. He was just himself. And he believes that he was meant to live. Like, God saved him to live. And first, he needed to forgive himself. What do you think he needed to forgive himself of?
The ping pong thing? For sure.
And he had to forgive his enemy, like the headmaster that wanted him dead.
Oh, I thought you were still going to forgive himself or something.
Would you forgive your enemy in this situation?
No.
But what about him
I
moving
don't even
forward?
forgive for like little things. Like, this is a huge thing. Are you serious? The headmaster? No. What was the quote?
T likes to come across like she's not a forgiving person. It's not true.
Forgiving the genocide thing? Yeah, I'm going to forgive the genocide thing?
Okay, maybe she wouldn't.
Not that thing.
Not that one, no.
Maybe I'll forgive this $20 salvation thing, but I'm not going to be friends with you. You know what I mean?
He just wanted to start moving again. And part of going forward
Right.
is to let that shit go. Right?
Yeah.
To feel free of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying that you can feel free of it and not forgive someone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, the science is supporting you these days. He heals really fast. He finds out he has a full scholarship. I believe he said to Tulane University.
Mm-hmm.
1996, after practice, he sees a perpetrator, one of the guys, and he begs for forgiveness. T, what would you have done in that situation?
Hey, friends, come on over. Take a look at this dude. I recognize this dude. Wait, give me a second. How do I know this dude? No, wait. Did we play ping pong? No. That's how it started.
But what if he's like so contrite? Like, I'm so sorry. I was out.
Why are you apologizing? Tell me why you're apologizing.
Because I tried to cut you and burn you and kill you, and I'm so sorry. I was just like out of my mind because like I saw Fox News that morning. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I forgive you.
Thank you.
I don't know if my friends do, but I do. I'll see ya.
Would you really seek revenge in that moment?
I don't know. I have no idea. This is like.
But what Gilbert says, though, is really powerful. He looks at it as giving that guy justice or revenge or punishment or whatever it is. It's not his fucking job. It's not his job. And he needed to heal personally.
Well, I think he was rewarded for that probably.
And he knows that thinking of he doesn't want to think about revenge. He wants to think about fucking running. He's moving forward, wants to run, and he wants to live life and have joy, and he's thinking about his future, and he's not interested in doling out punishment or hurting others or seeking revenge. Why can't we all be like that? And that doesn't even mean you have to forgive, but maybe you don't dole out punishment. Is that enough? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
You're right. Well, what would you do?
I don't know.
I would have been the 3rd mile towards the water already. Gone.
God would have smote me for missing church for ping pong, man. It's so back when I was like a sophomore.
I wouldn't have made it already.
Yeah.
Where's the Trader Joe's? Well, I got a bottle of water around here.
I walk out of the birth canal and I'm like, wait, I was born where? Where's the water? I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
Send me back. I loved this image of in 1998 him carrying the Olympic torch as he said,
Oh my God.
a man from the fire holds the fire.
Full circle.
You guys should really go look at the pictures on Actually Happening Instagram. I'm about to show T-Dog one because you can see, look at the scars. You can see the scars on him. I mean, they're very pronounced scars. Look at his poor body. Oh my God. There's a picture of him sort of post-hospital, but it's still pretty gnarly. And now he's got a great life. In 2011, he went back to that area. He said he was not okay. He said the whole scene came to life. And now he survives to be a voice for others and bring hope to villages and water to the villages of Burundi. He says at the end, it's time to help others. What a beautiful soul. And I know that I just jumped through a lot at the end there, T. I don't know. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about specifically? Gilbert's gazelles. There's also pictures of his gazelles on the Actually Happening Instagram. Go check those out. Man who inspired many, for real. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are cut. Please rate and review us. And thanks to Gilbert for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. And thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, Andrew Waite, the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Tromboli. And thanks to Cathy Sites for editing this episode, and Katy Caple for building those blasted Instagram posts. Please find us on YouTube. You can contact us on Gmail, on Instagram. We have a website, I think. All that information's in our show notes. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. I love you, T.
Love you, Elly. Good job. Hey, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Trauma Bonded.